Alright, what's up guys? Welcome to my Days Gone review. I've played about 21 hours or so, something around that, 20 to 22 hours, in between that kind of time frame. I haven't completed it yet. I think the game is meant to be around like 30 hours or so if you're just playing and doing some of the side stuff and just going through it leisurely. I've done most of the side stuff, I haven't done all of it. And I just kind of got to this screen where it said, after this point, you can't do any of the missions up here ever again. You're going down south and you're not coming back, basically. So we went into a new area. I don't think it's the end of the game per se, but it's the last area of the game. I haven't completed it, as I said, but I feel like I've played enough to give my thoughts on it, to do a review on it, and kind of tell you guys what I think. And so my expectations going into Days Gone were that it would be like an 8, 8.5 out of 10 kind of title, and that would be a really solid PlayStation exclusive, rather. But it wouldn't kind of match the top PlayStation exclusives like The Last of Us, Uncharted, the God of Wars. So that was kind of my thing going into it. That's what I thought. So I think sometimes expectations are pretty important when you're doing a review, what your expectations were going into the game, because that can shape how you think about the game going into it. But yeah, I'll kind of show some gameplay on the screen now, and I'll give my thoughts further. We'll talk about the positives and the negatives. I'm going to go for the positives first, and then we'll get into the negatives after that. So what I said was that I was expecting Days Gone to be a really solid game that I liked a lot, but it wouldn't be on the same level as the top Sony exclusives. And that's pretty much exactly what we got, in my opinion. It's not an amazing, groundbreaking new game, new IP, but it's a good, solid new IP. And I feel like Sony Bend done a good job for their first big game. I feel like it's a pretty good game for your first big game. Like, they only done Vita games and shit like that before. This is their first, like, current gen, game. Hopefully they'll have one on next gen as well. But I'm going to start with something that's neither positive or negative to me, really. But at the start of the game, there's no real end goal to the game. Like, you're not really pushing towards anything. There's nothing you're striving towards doing. You're just surviving. That's it. Kind of an interesting take on it all, I guess. It makes it a little bit more realistic. The past stuff is really the only stuff that you're kind of looking forward to. You're kind of learning about your past with Sarah and stuff like that. But like, say in Uncharted, your goal is to find the treasure. In God of War, your goal was to scatter your mother's ashes. Horizon, your goal was to find out everything about the old ones, the world before. Days Gone didn't really have anything like that from the start. About midway through, you kind of start getting some things like where you really have to push towards this. This is the thing that you're looking towards and what you want to do. But before that, there's nothing really like that, which I thought was interesting. So I said we'd start off with the positives, and I'm going to go through the positives right now. Visually, the first thing that struck me is that visually, very impressive. I wasn't expecting this game to be like really visually impressive, but the character models especially, like Deacon St. John looks really good, especially up close when they like go up close on him in the cutscenes and stuff, his clothing and his hair and shit. Like, it looks really good, man. His character model looks great, and I wasn't expecting that. Sometimes the environments can look a little bit dated, but like the character models I thought looked really, really good. All of them. Deacon St. John especially, I feel like definitely looks really dope in the cutscenes. And speaking of cutscenes, that's another positive for me. There's a lot of cutscenes. There's a lot of cutscenes, man. Like, there's, I think 6 hours worth of cutscenes is what they said. And this, to me, led to the game having a really good story. I felt like the past learning about the past was definitely the best part of the story. There was a couple of the Ripper storylines I feel like that were really good, but there's always different storylines going on at once, which can be a bit confusing if you want to kind of just get to the end goal of one of these stories, but I feel like they mesh it together really well. There's a couple of missions that like don't necessarily need to be there, but overall I felt like the main story of Days Gone is really, really good, and the story there was dope, especially like the relationships that Deacon has as well. That's another positive to me, is the character relationships that Deacon has, especially with Boozer and with Sarah as well in the flashbacks. I feel like his chemistry with Sarah is really, really good, and that's why they were so great together, obviously. And his chemistry with Boozer as well. Boozer can just be a little bit of a dickhead, but we love him all the same. He can be really, really stubborn, but as I said, we love him all the same. And Deacon's relationship with Boozer is that he's basically a brother, and he'd do anything for him. And there's a couple of moments during the story where you realize just how far Deacon has to go to help Boozer, and he does it, and, you know, he helps Boozer. Obviously, he loves him a lot. And their relationship blossoms throughout the story as we go on. We learn more about them. Because they're brothers when you start the story. It's not like you start the story and Boozer and St. John don't really know each other. They know each other from before shit went down. So they've been friends from before that. And they're the only two that they know each other that are alive that knew each other before. So they don't know anyone else who they knew from before shit went down, which I thought was really interesting. That's a bond that they have together. I thought Ricky was a really good character as well. The kind of moments you have with her during the story, like the kind of tense moments, the sexual tension, I feel like is great.
Dick, I'm not married. Okay.
And seeing Deacon evolve over time in the story was really cool as well. Like seeing him going from this kind of brash, just dickhead, doesn't care about anyone. You start seeing just like that's not who he is as the story goes on. He does care about people. He cares about the camps. He cares about the people in them, and he cares about helping the people in them as well. So I thought that was really cool. And speaking of the camps as well, that's another positive for me, was kind of the cool little camp system that they had going on in the world as well. You had to earn credits by doing like either encampment job missions for Copeland, Tucker, Iron Mike, who are the 3 leaders of the camps, and you get credits to like do up your bike and buy ammo and buy fuel and repair your bike, which I thought was cool. They kind of have a nice little system going on. The camps are different, like Tucker's camp. Well, they're all work camps pretty much, but like the atmosphere in the camps is different. Like in Tucker's camp, there's always someone getting the shit beaten out of them. Someone's like getting the shit beaten out of them. Get back to work. In Copeland's camp, it's more of a kind of chill atmosphere. And Iron Mike's camp then as well. It seems like there's always a little bit of tension between the leaders there, which I thought was cool, between Iron Mike and Schizo, stuff like that. The bike stuff is really cool. I love just riding the open road. The thing is, like, you can't really do it for too long because you run out of fuel very quickly. Like, you can't even fast travel from the top part of the map to like one of the bottom parts of the map because you have insufficient fuel. One of the skills I would recommend getting is like making your fuel tank a little bigger. Not skills, but rather one of the parts, the bike parts that you can get in the camps. But yeah, riding the open world is super fun. I feel like the world is brutal, it's gritty. There's just loads of dead bodies all over the place that have been ripped apart by freakers or rippers or both. It's just some of the stuff that you see is really grim. It's bleak. It does not make you feel good about the future of the world. I like how you can do everything stealthy if need be as well. Like when you're taking over these camps, when you're going to kill a ripper camp and there's freakers all around the place, you can go in stealthy, just kill the rippers one by one with a knife to the head, or snapping their neck, and are sniping them with the crossbow. You can do whatever you want. You can go in guns blazing and try and let the freakers kill the rippers as well. If there's freakers around and you kind of set the freakers off, they'll go and attack the rippers as well, which I thought was super interesting. So you can use the freakers to your advantage, but then they'll come for you as well, so you got to be careful all the same as well. Some of the hordes of zombies are very impressive. Like the amount of zombies they have on screen without any hitching or glitching is insane. There's a lot of zombies, man, when in a horde. Like there's a shit ton of them. The one thing I would say is like the trailer made it seem like you'll be fighting these hordes, you'll be kind of taking them on and just trying to take them all down, but that doesn't really seem to be the case. You never have enough ammo to do that, and it's kind of just not a smart play overall to try and kill these hordes. They'll take you down in seconds mostly. You have to be like in a super strategic place. You can't just take them on out in the open, because they will catch up with you and they will kill you unless you're on your bike, unless you get to your bike, because you run out of stamina very quickly. And one of the other things that I really like as well is that there's a lot to do, because this has been happening to me in open world games a lot recently, like say Assassin's Creed Odyssey and The Division, where you have to just grind these side missions to level up to do the main mission. Even if I don't care about the side missions, I don't want to do them, there's there's this part where they're like, yeah, you have to be this level to do this mission, so you have to go grind these missions to get to this level, and I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to grind. I just want to play the goddamn main story. Just let me play the main story. And that's one thing Days Gone does very well. There's a lot to do, but you're never forced to do any of it to continue the story if you don't want to. And I have been doing a lot of side stuff, because in Days Gone I really do enjoy it. I've done most of the encampment missions. I've now gone beyond, as I said, a spot where I can't do any of the other ones. I didn't complete all of the encampment missions or all of the missions or anything, but I did do a lot of them. I enjoyed the side stuff. I usually kind of just like to plow through the main story, just because I'm always invested in that. And I like kind of playing through from start to finish, playing through the main story mainly, and just doing a couple of side missions here and there, which other games kind of won't let me do, which I find really annoying, and they make you grind. So Days Gone, props for that. And the last thing I'll talk about is the skills. Some of these skills are really useful. This is the last thing on the positive note. Some of these skills are really useful, like Focus Shot. I would highly recommend getting that as soon as you possibly can. The ammo capacity one as well, because the one thing as well is, like, you don't get guns, you don't get great guns until you're like a much higher level. So when you do get them, you'll have a higher ammo capacity than you did already, and then this perk as well can get you to like much higher. Like I went from 105 bullets, I think, to like 195 or 200 bullets in my clip, so that's really, really handy. You have a lot more ammo. So now we're going to get into the negatives of the game, what I thought they could have done better. The game definitely has a lot of positives, as I've just spent 10 minutes talking about them, but the game does have some negatives as well. It definitely does have some parts that could have been better, and we're going to start with the first one, and that is, within certain storylines in the game, I feel like the missions can be very repetitive, because as I said, there is like different storylines as you're going along, and there's like certain repetitive missions without getting much out of it, much story out of it. Say if you were doing the repetitive missions and you were getting a piece of story after it or anything, but there was like the Nero missions, the Nero research missions that I was doing for O'Brien, and he'd just send you from place to place to track these helicopters and track these helos. You'd get a conversation out of the main research scientist, but that would be about it. And you'd go in, you'd listen to their conversation, and you'd get out. And you'd done that like 4 times in a row without getting really anything from O'Brien. And then you finally get something from O'Brien at the end of it all. But I felt like those missions were a little repetitive and a little bit boring, but overall not a huge deal. Another little kind of annoyance, I would say, is that you can never have like that much ammo. As I was saying, later in the game you do get a lot more ammo, and you kind of don't run out of it half as much, but you run out of ammo so quickly. For like the first 10-12 hours of this game, you'll be out of ammo. If you're in one fight, you're out of ammo. You have to go back to the base and restock, which is kind of annoying. There's no real there's a couple of ammo boxes here and there, but they're not like commonplace in the world. And I feel like I didn't get a good gun either until I was like 10 to 12 hours in as well. So I was using the same guns, and you have to get to like trust level 2 to actually get the good guns. Like the MGW, I think, was the one I got, or the MGS, I can't remember what it was called. But once I got that gun, and I switched from my handgun to a shotgun in my secondary position, and I got a new sniper as well, the gameplay became much more enjoyable once I got those guns. So I really wish I could have got those guns a little bit earlier, because I feel like it would have made my experience with the gameplay at the start a lot more fun, because the guns that I got, they made the combat, like, as I said, much more fun. I was killing people much quicker. I mean, like, a lot quicker with the shotgun. The handgun's trash. Don't use the handgun, guys. Once you get to switch from the handgun, just switch from it. It does do a one-shot headshot kill, but, like, if you have to hit them with, like, legit 6 body shots to kill them with the handgun, and it's not like it's pop, pop, pop. You really have to, like, take your time aiming the handgun as well. So I feel like the shotgun and the MGW are definitely the 2 best guns that I have. And then there's the semi-auto sniper, which is 1 shot, 1 kill, which is super overpowered. Okay, so the third negative thing we're going to go into is that the game can definitely be stuttery at times. But this was when I was playing before the day 1 patch, so you can take that with a grain of salt. I got this game super early. I got a review copy from Sony. I forgot to mention that at the start. I did get a review copy from Sony, so you can take everything I say with a grain of salt if you want, but I'm going to speak truly, I'm going to speak honestly. But yeah, as I said, the game can definitely be stuttery, and since the patch, though, it has been a lot better. This was late game. At the start of the game, I didn't really have any of these issues, but when I kind of got, say, to that 10-12 hour mark, I started getting like frame drops quite regularly. But once the patch came in, after the patch, I was not getting them nearly as much. Okay, so I only have 2 more negatives. The first one is that I feel like some of the main missions were really short and they weren't really necessary because they didn't really add much to the overall story. The game, it seems like it's maybe a little bit longer than it needs to be. In the end, I haven't completed it yet, as I said, so I don't know quite how long I have left. But some of these missions are literally like, just go here and talk to this person and then come back. You know, it's like, or go here. Like some of the missions were like, go into this town, collect the knife, and then come back. Like really simple missions where you don't have much dialogue, you don't have much anything, you just go in, you literally collect the knife, and then you go back to the camp again. I feel like some of them were super pointless like that, or like one of them where I went up to the farm to talk to Boozer. I literally talked to him for like 3 seconds, and then I left, and they told me to come back to the camp. I was like, that was a little bit of a pointless mission. So those were kind of little pointless missions that I felt like were just not necessary, as I said. So last thing, but this is easily my least favorite thing about the game, or like my biggest nitpick with the game. This is probably it. And I did say that I liked the cutscenes a lot in this game, right? But the thing is, the thing that I had a pretty big problem with was the transitions from the gameplay to the cutscenes. It just was not as smooth as it should be whatsoever. It was actually pretty poor. Like there'd be a black screen and it would load for like 3 seconds and then it would go from gameplay to cutscene, especially because of how much cutscenes there is and how short these cutscenes can be. So it's like you're going from gameplay to cutscenes quite regularly, and there's always like a black screen, loading screen, black screen, loading screen. There's always something. It's never transitioning smoothly, especially seeing as I played God of War last year, and there was literally 0 loading screens and no transitions from gameplay to cutscenes. So it's kind of a big deal. It really is, and I can't wait. Hearing about that new PS5 got me super excited with the Spider-Man thing, where they said it went from a quick, what was it? They fast traveled, and it usually took 14 seconds, and on the new SSD it took like 0.07 seconds or something crazy like that. So that's exciting news. Loading screens will be gone. Hopefully they get another shot with Days Gone 2 or something similar, maybe another different type of game. Maybe this will just be a standalone. I'm yet to see how the story unfolds, so I'll get a better idea at the end of it. But yeah, this has been my review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please do make sure to drop a like on the video. I'd greatly appreciate it. It would mean a lot to me. I don't tend to do reviews often, but I kind of want to incorporate it more into my channel going forward, because I feel like Let's Plays just aren't enough to keep people entertained. I want to do some other stuff as well. I want to branch out and kind of do some more content that takes a little bit more skill to do, like these reviews. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'm going to get to editing this now, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'd give the game probably an 8.5 out of 10, I would say. It's a solid game, but it's not on the level of the top Sony exclusives, as I said. But it's definitely a solid game that's worth playing. So I would highly recommend it. It's a great game. 8.5 out of 10. I'll see you guys later. Peace out.
Deke!